Here we've got a bit of a return to form because this was actually taken with my 50. And this was a little staged, kind of. Not exactly, but my kids were, these are my two kids. And I think, the fire is going because it was a cold day and the Olympics were on and we were kind of stuck inside all day. And I think they're above the fireplace is the TV, and I think we were watching the Olympics. And I specifically asked them. They were here in the living room, but I specifically said, hey, guys, go out and sit right here so I can take your picture. And they don't normally sit still for any length of time, much less for Daddy to go get his camera and tripod and take a picture. But they obliged, and this was the one good shot that I was able to get. So it worked out in that sense. They got their jammies on because it's almost bedtime, and I ran and got my D750 and put it on my little the Gorilla Pod tripod. It's like this 1 foot tall, really flexible tripod. And I asked if they could just hold still for 30 seconds. And they didn't make it that long, but they did make it long enough for me to take a picture with a 1/6 of a second exposure. And they held still long enough for that exposure without it being blurry. So I'm super grateful to the kids. Kids, if you ever listen to this, thank you for sitting still for that picture. I wanted to do a slightly slower shutter so I could get some motion trails in the fire. And I used a wider aperture. I shot at f2.8 to get just a little bit of background blurring here. If you view the photo on Flickr, if you click on it and takes you over to the Flickr site, you can view the full-size image, and you see there is some separation between the kids and the fireplace in that the fireplace is a little blurred out because of the larger aperture. And I like the effect that gives. It adds a little sense of depth to the photo that I shot a couple at f4 and it didn't quite work. So it was fun to take this, and then as soon as I was done, my older son on the left, he wanted to take a similar photo, so he ran and got his little pocket camera and tripod, and he tried to take a photo. And it's fun to allow them to experiment with taking pictures and things like that. I also want to note that on the right-hand side, you'll see a poorly done Photoshop job where there's a blotchy patch where a picture frame has been removed. And I didn't even use Photoshop. I used Lightroom because I just didn't want to take the time to do it in Photoshop. That's because there was a photo frame that clearly showed not just my kids' faces, but names too, and I like to avoid that here on the blog. So I just used Lightroom to quickly erase that. I could have done it better, I guess, in Photoshop, but I just didn't want to take the time to do it. So hopefully this picture captures kind of the essence of a cold winter morning or cold winter evening sitting in front of the fireplace, something that we don't get to do all that often here in Oklahoma. So it was fun to capture it.